Geek Tank is supported by listeners like you.
Get your Uru hammers and your nailer guns, a sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Use Valerian steel, it'll get you to come to the Geek Tank, to the Geek Tank, to the Geek Tank. The Rocky Mountain Geek Tank.
Hi, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Troy.
Hi, I'm Chelsea.
And this is Geek Tank Live.
Your NCT 17 size podcast.
Your Korean blended time of fun, because I didn't plan anything. Oh my god.
Today we're talking about K-pop, Korean pop music,
Yes.
and we have a
I did all my
guest,
research on cake pops.
and you're
And you're at
behind.
Starbucks. And you don't even buy one. Like, you had a perfect joke.
Well, they're like $5.
Oh my god. Heaven forbid. There are 18 members in NCT 17.
And they're in 17, which means they only are allowed if you're over 17 years old.
Did you get it? Are you gonna live? Okay.
I dropped my cake pop.
So we have a special guest today. I brought along Emily, because this whole K-pop addiction is actually her fault.
And for those of you
As
who
most
listen,
things are in my life are her fault.
I'm not sorry
No, you're not.
at
You
all.
never have been.
Never have been. No regrets.
and for those of you listening and not watching on Facebook, they did a cute little pose of presenting Emily. There you
There
go.
you go. Okay. So for those of you who are not familiar with K-pop,
Like
what
me.
is K-pop?
K-pop is Korean pop music. It's a really big genre.
Yes. I don't even know where to start with K-pop. It's not just the music.
Yeah.
There's a whole concept behind each album, each group, each song, each member. It's probably safer to call K-pop a concept than an actual genre of music, because everything's so tailored and detailed, and you've got your, if we take the newest comeback for BTS,
That's complicated.
Now the way that
goes
Chelsea's
up.
been talking about them, I never realized they went away.
Blackpink too.
So were they actually out of fashion for a while? Because it seemed like they've always. And it's like LL Cool J says, "Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years."
For years. With K-pop, it's complicated because they actually just finished their last tour in Bangkok.
And so that's a
Or-
good way to think about it. For Love Yourself, and that was their last album. They're coming back from their world tour and giving you new music. So that's probably the best way to think of a comeback, is they're coming back from whatever they just finished doing with new content. So it's not necessarily like if NSYNC were to get back together,
Right.
like they did at Coachella with Ariana Grande minus JT, that could almost be a comeback, but not really.
It'd be like a twist on a comeback, kind of.
But
Because they do
yeah.
that as well.
Yeah, to me, K-pop is like Menudo, New Kids on the Block, 98 Degrees, Hanson. As long as you made them Korean and better, I guess, depending
More
on your
dancing,
taste.
better
dancing.
dancing.
Now, is there an age limit? Because
More
all the
rap.
K-pop bands that I get shown by these two are all like 10-year-olds or something. Or I
So
know
they
that now.
training can start at a pretty young age.
And when do they send them to get killed because a little red gem on their hand goes red? At what age do they get executed?
Old.
So they're so what's the oldest K-pop? 20?
Well, it depends. Guys end up actually aging out of K-pop at 30, which is when the age for the
Okay.
Korean mandated military service starts. So they all go. So the average lifespan of like a K-pop group for a male group is about 7 years.
Okay.
For
So
girl
30
group-
is the cap.
30 is the cap, but they can come back from that. For Big Bang, which has been around since before 2010, and I don't want to give an exact date because I know people who will be mad at me if I do. One of their main members, their main lead rapper, has been in the military, and they were getting ready to do a comeback when he got out of the military at the end of this year. And he's going to be 30, 31. And you can come back at any
Boy,
age.
he's ancient.
Ancient is Rain, who's one of my personal favorite solo artists, and he's pushing 40, and he
Oh
just
my
did a
God.
comeback.
He
pushing
was
40.
in what movie was it? He was
Speed
in,
Racer.
No, well, he
But
was in
he
that.
wasn't Speed
but there was
Racer.
one. There was one with.
It was an
Oh.
assassin movie?
It was interesting
I mean,
because
I've
it was
seen
like
everything Rain's
it was
been in.
like the Japanese paper
Clearly
stories that they
ninjas.
tell, but it goes off of that. And I think Roboku, or Rambunku.
Maybe.
I'll look it up while you guys talk. But I
do.
think I remember the name from that. It had like Woody Harrelson and the guy from Sin City, one of the guys from Sin City.
There was a gal group that had come back when we were watching one of the concerts, and they were in their late 40s, early 50s. And there were 3 members instead of 4, but they decided to do a comeback because they had enough content to make a new album. So they were promoting.
Yes, and I don't remember what their name, but they were adorable.
They were super cute.
A bunch of ajumas dancing around. It was amazing.
They were having so much fun. That's like the best part, is you always see how much fun they're having. So
Yeah, but that would be like 80s music. I mean, really.
I mean, it was
For-
definitely.
it was a bop.
It was a bop. It was a dated bop, but it was a bop.
It was a bop. So I mean, some people sometimes they come
That'd
back
be
as like
K-bop?
solo artists.
K-bop.
Sometimes they come back as like sectionals, kind of in a way.
Kind of. They break into subunits, and then subunits can consist of any number of the members. I've been in K-pop for a really long time, but only started recently understanding the mechanics of it. So when I was in high school, my group was Toho Shinki, TVXQ, and I love them. And then I couldn't figure out for the longest time why they weren't a thing anymore and why there were only 2 of them. It's because of the military service and then the 2 remaining members who had completed their service early and came back and formed a subunit that was still going under the same name.
So it gets
So
complicated.
it gets complicated, but you find your favorite, you follow them, and you love them, and
Some of
say
them-
goodbye to the rest of your social life. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Well, sometimes they'll just say like one member is gone for the military, and they'll keep the group together, and then they'll just go as they can. With BTS specifically, it kind of sounds like they're prepping for military service with an app. So it sounds like they might all go at the same time just to get it done. And now that things are kind of calming down between North and South Korea, the military service time is actually shorter than it used to be.
For now.
For now, right? The big thing with girl groups is you can love them and they won't go to military service unless they decide to.
But they still end up having actually a shorter shelf life than the male groups because their main fan base is older men who like them because they're cute and young.
Right. And, you've got
And
the
then
misogyny
you
thing
age
kinda
out of
going
that,
on.
and you've got the misogyny thing working against you. And then once those girls are in their late 20s, they're not cute and little anymore, so
Right.
they move on to the next one.
They are always.
So,
So,
you really need that like
I was
staying
wrong.
power like Blackpink does.
But the movie is Bunraku.
Bunraku.
Boondock.
Bunraku. But I was thinking of Gact. I got the 2 confused. Totally different nationalities. So, but you know who he is.
I know who Gokta is. He is a bop king.
So actually, I was getting Ninja Assassin was the one I was
So,
trying to think of.
On
Was Rain.
behalf
Ninja
of
Assassin.
Geek Tank, I apologize to the Japanese and Korean.
Yes. You know what? They're both martial art films. Is why I got mixed up.
Okay, that's fair. If you're gonna confuse martial art films,
Yeah, I was getting the Ninja Assassin and Bunraku mixed up, and so therefore the actors got mixed up in my head too.
and to be fair, in America we have this horrible thing of, well, you're Latino, Asian, maybe sort of white looking, not sort of whatever. So we'll put you in there as a ninja. We've done that a number of times.
You're ethnically ambiguous.
It's like Memoirs of a Geisha.
I didn't cast the
all
film.
Chinese people, and it got real awkward.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that doesn't get bumped.
At least they didn't. At least they didn't cast Scarlett Johansson in the
Make
role
sure.
As you know, Japanese lead
as
character.
Rain. When they do his autobiography film, they'll cast Scarlett Johansson as Rain.
I would probably pay good money to see Scarlett Johansson do his dance moves, though. To be
Okay.
fair, to be fair.
It'd be interesting.
So, I mean, Rain can barely do Rain's dance moves. So,
To be fair, K-pop is quite competitive with their dance. For a while, things got real tough.
Yeah, Rain's a king of dance. I'm sorry, my love. Sarangayo pa.
Right.
So let's talk about how like a comeback in Korea is different from like an actual comeback here in the States.
The way we look at it.
Because was it
As opposed to the
NSYNC
fake
that just did a
in
comeback?
Korea.
Not
Technically?
well. They
Kinda.
got back together, minus Justin Timberlake, to perform with Ariana Grande at Coachella.
Right, and they're doing stuff in Vegas as well.
Backstreet
But
Boys.
they're not.
is.
Oh, Backstreet Boys is.
NSYNC's
this
on.
is the problem
They
with
just
me.
do TV
I just
now.
don't pay attention anymore, and they haven't come out with any new music. So
So you could say Backstreet Boys are doing a comeback because they have a Vegas show. Maybe Vegas shows are the ultimate USA comeback. Or like you've been out of fashion for a while, but now you get to have a stage in Vegas. Congratulations, you're almost relevant again.
oh no.
Yeah, actually, that's probably the best way to explain it. Because we end up with those people who are like, yeah, and he died backstage at Vegas because he was 212 years old, and you know, I mean, it's like that's where everybody seems to go
end up.
when they're
Oh.
winding up, you know. So that makes some sense. I think I'd go for that. Vegas is sort of
Your last
it's,
ditch
it's
resort.
yeah, it's
You're
It's
out
your
in the
final
desert.
comeback.
it's where it's where entertainers go to die. I mean, really, you know.
Not Penn and Teller. They like flourish to there.
Entertainer. Well,
To be fair, that's their town. So.
Yeah.
yeah.
But with K-pop, with
And
like
I wouldn't-
Blackpink, with like
I wouldn't say that they're washed up either. You know, I wouldn't. I would say that Penn and
So
Teller's a different.
if you're washed
breed.
up and you go to Vegas, that's where you go to die.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a good analogy for the comeback stage because I've got friends who are my age who are like coming back from Vegas like we just saw the Backstreet Boys. Ah! So you know, it can count. It can count.
And I'm like sitting there going, the Backstreet Boys were like already kind of. I don't know. I was already kind of in the workforce and doing stuff.
you're loud enough.
You killed him with your
Oh,
touch.
you made him so sad.
Just trying to get him back up.
He thinks he's on radio.
I know.
I have a face for radio.
Yep.
Yep. Which is why we're doing podcasts. I just keep breaking the camera. So, see, now I'm totally derailed. I'm sure I was saying something
Vegas,
political.
Backstreet
About-
Boys, you were in
yeah.
the workforce.
So
I was
Backstreet,
already in my 20s whenever Backstreet Boys were like popular.
that doesn't explain you're past your 20s and you're into Blackpink.
because
I don't think it's-
Blackpink transcends generations.
So there.
Some people might say
Not
the Backstreet
because-
Boys transcend generations.
They would be
That's
wrong
not-
though.
I mean, no.
not the
To be
K-pop
fair,
is-
like
I think it's all just the subjectivity
So
of it.
for
my
because
mom had volunteered to go with me to an NSYNC concert, which I thought was incredibly sweet.
I'm noticing a connection though, also from the J-pop crew to the K-pop crew. There's a lot of people making transition from J-pop to K-pop.
That's probably
That's
an easy
definitely
transition,
how I
though.
segued.
It's like transitioning from manga to anime.
Yeah.
And it's in that same bubble.
You do
Right.
have to understand the cultural differences, though, and you do see them if you follow a K-pop group and a J-pop group, and you see them go to each other's countries. You see a little bit of the conflict that comes up occasionally, because it always happens, and especially with like the gals from. There's a gal from like Thailand.
So is that T-pop?
No, so she's part of a K-pop group, but she's from.
Korea's just absorbing them all into
Okay.
one big conglomerate
She's
of pop
from
artists
Thailand.
now.
I mean, who from TXT is from Brazil? Is it Byunggu?
No, it's Yunin Kai,
It's
my little
Hyunin Kai.
squirrely baby.
It's Brazilian. They'll take
Half
anybody.
Brazilian, half. His mom's Korean, his dad's
I
Brazilian.
think we should
German.
start calling boy bands A-pop.
Which pop?
A-pop for American
A-pop,
pop.
American pop. There we go. Here we go. We don't produce boy bands here anymore. We have our formula never
We make
worked.
men bands.
We make men bands, and then our men
I
bands
want
give
that.
up
I want
and
that on a
get
shirt.
chubby.
Give me more men bands. So there was a gal from Thailand who said that she was very proud and very, very proud to be Thai, and China considers that like their territory for some reason. So she wasn't allowed to perform in China because they were mad. It was like ridiculous. Like all these little Asian countries are like, rah,
But
and you're like, can you
that's a
stop?
given. I mean, that's the same kind of weird stuff that I've seen in Japan. They'll do that too.
Yeah.
You know, they'll do that kind of like, well, we're not going to deal with the Koreans. We're not going to deal
You're,
with the
you
Chinese.
Dayun from Twice, you're going to wear a shirt. That purchase of that shirt went to support women who were comfort women during World War II. You don't get to perform in Japan. Twice doesn't get to perform in Japan now for our New Year's Eve stuff. Bye-bye.
That was, ugh.
So my wheelhouse is more Hong Kong films, and you see that same thing back with the way they produce that is China versus Hong Kong, since Hong Kong was at one time ruled by Britain.
Free trade for them.
But it's you see a lot of the you can't act in this because of this belief that you have.
Right. A Chinese actress went like missing for a while because she had come out in support of Hong Kong, and it's very strange. It's very political, so it's fun to kind of dive into that.
To be fair, a Chinese actress went missing for a while because she was hiding from the press because she dodged her taxes.
That
So,
too.
really,
So I'm going to steer this back on track.
Yes, K-pop.
So comebacks. So we've been through Blackpink and we've been through BTS so far. We've got Twice, we've got EXO, we've got some Monsta X.
Twice is
stuff
dropping
coming
a
out.
new album.
Twice is
It's a
dropping a new-
comeback. I mean, they just had an album come out last year.
they had an album over the summer. Well, they're coming back from that album and giving you new
It's
content.
still a comeback. Yeah.
A comeback is basically doing
comeback
something
is-
and showing you haven't left anywhere.
So the way it works, it's you have your debut.
So we're making our comeback episode this week
Yes,
from last week when we were here.
we're back from last week.
We're back from, this is our comeback. We're returning from last year or from last week when we were here.
Well, it's a different culture, so they're using it as a
It is
different
a
phrase.
different
So I
exactly.
get
It's
it.
not. It's not it's not an English comeback. It's a Korean comeback. It's
right.
you have your debut stage, which is when you are presented to the world. For BTS, that was No More Dream on Mnet Music Bank, 2014. They were introduced to the world. Wow, we have BTS.
What, does
And
BTS stand for anything?
Bangtan Sonyeondan,
Thank you. And does that translate into tasty noodles?
Bulletproof Boy Scouts.
Okay.
Which is still so cute later. Just like, that does not suit you, but alright.
It's like, oh, you're Bulletproof Boy Scouts. You're so cute.
And they were like rappers. They were dressed like
They're-
American gangsters in black and white.
They were very hardcore hip hop when they started out. I think their first album was Oh No, Are You Late Too or Too Cool for School.
Yeah.
They were the youngest one at the debut, the Maknae, was 14, 15 years old when they
It
debuted.
was a baby.
He was an itty bitty baby. The oldest one was barely in college. He was 21. So, but they debuted. That's when they're introduced to the world. And technically, any new content after the debut album, debut song can be considered a comeback because they're coming back from that debut to do something else.
Like this for BTS was a like mini album because there's only like 7 songs and we're used to so much content. We're like, we mean 7 songs. Mini album, comeback. They might come out with more music in like 3 months, like they did for the trilogy. Last year they essentially released a trilogy of albums and each album was a comeback. So I've been through 3 BTS comebacks, even though technically I could count that as one.
Right. And so if we get another album,
It'll be another comeback.
It'll be another
It'll
comeback.
be my 5th comeback. So
and really you can count the comebacks by album title songs is probably a better way to do it because they have their title song. That's what they go to the music shows. That's what they present is usually the title song and a secondary song. So when they were on Saturday Night Live this last weekend, they had their new song, their new title song, Boy With Love, and they performed that. They had a comeback stage on an American stage, which is big because they're the only band actually, or the only Korean band to do that
Right.
twice. Twice. Then they had a second song, which was Mic Drop. And Mic Drop's a song that we've had for almost a year.
only a year?
8 months maybe, approximately.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No way. We've had
Approximately.
mic drop for a while.
Approximately,
Please
no.
hold, I'm checking.
I hope
it's
that they
been
had a
only about
member
a
in the
year.
band named Mike that they kicked out before they did that, so
There
they could
is
call it
a
Mike
rumor
Drop.
that there was an 8th member for a real long time.
He's a ghost now.
Yeah, he fell down a well.
And then Lassie keeps coming in and talking about it.
But they-
Anyway,
Wait.
He haunts the
from
dorms.
the chat room, they were saying that we've made a comeback from our Chelsea list episode.
Yes.
There you go.
So we've made our Chelsea list comeback.
I've been gone for 2
You've
weeks.
come back as a full unit now.
This is us returning from our Chelsea list episode land. So
Oh, it was released in 2018. That's nuts.
Ha.
What is happening?
Ha.
I was like,
So the
no, that
first
song's been
time
around
that-
forever.
Question
first time that I had
knowledge.
seen
I know.
Shoujo Jidai which was Girls' Generation,
Generation.
was on. Was it? It was David Letterman. No, not David Letterman.
It wasn't but it was on late night TV. I remember
Yeah, late
seeing
night.
it, and people were like
With
freaking out
Regis.
because they didn't understand.
It was Regis and was the guest. Regis and Bill Murray were
Yes.
the guests.
Bill
And they
Murray
both-
was into it.
Yeah, Bill Murray was into it, but Regis was giving this look like, I don't know what to do
And
with Girls'
They
Generation.
came in like
And they were
fire.
on. And they were live. And it was like, and it was hysterical to watch. It was just a really funny video. And I was like, hey, I like these guys. They sound kind of like a more mature version of what I was usually listening to in J-pop. Which I like J-pop, but part of the reason that I kind of was like, is I'm getting kind of older and J-pop's kind of bubblegum, you know? And I like K-pop a little bit more because it's a little bit more grown up. You know, even Twice, which Me Likey is just like the most obnoxious song ever. But even that, I know, really.
Yes or
Seriously.
Yes is pretty obnoxious as
Yes or
well.
Yes is obnoxious. But both of those, even the words on those are like, because now that they did Japanese versions, which means that I can actually understand what they're saying in some of those songs. And but with those songs, it's like, well, there's actually a meaning behind some of this that I like. You know, it's not just fluffy, fluffy, fluffy.
It's
And I
definitely
like
not.
that.
Which is
So-
probably a name of a K-pop song. Fluffy,
Fluffy.
fluffy, fluffy.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was at all.
So a lot of Americans, I think, were exposed to BTO last Saturday because they were the musical guests on Saturday Night Live.
They've been on a couple
BTS.
different shows.
BTO
they've
is
also
different.
performed.
Bangtan, oh no!
BLT.
They performed on a couple different stages. I mean, they were at the BBMAs.
They've performed
there.
Billboard Music Awards 3 times? No,
I think it's
twice. It'll be
twice.
3 times this year.
Yeah.
They've
Blackpink was just at Coachella, so that was a huge.
good job, Ann Shoots. Good job.
So we're starting to get more and more saturation over here, especially as they're coming out with more and more because the market kind of is finally open. I know, like, from my perspective, BTS paved the way, but, like, you see some of Girls' Generation and Twice, and you see some of Blackpink as well bleeding through with Monsta X is kind of popular
Well,
over
and
here.
think
and
back
EXO.
5 years, the first really big breakthrough into the American market with Korean music was Psy, with Gangnam
Oh, yeah.
Style. You really can't discredit that because I don't think I'd never heard SNSD, Girls' Generation, on the radio before.
Mm-hmm.
I was exposed to them through internet memes, and then I was like, oh, I like this way more than Gakt. And that's how you get sucked in, but like Psy became accessible. Like my parents know who Psy is. My in-laws who live in the mountains.
I was just about to ask. He counts as
avoid
K-pop,
everything.
right?
He
Huh?
does.
He
Yeah,
counts
He
as
definitely counts as K-pop.
he definitely counts as K-pop.
I mean, I think
He's got
he
his
like-
own label now.
Oh,
But I think that's our first experience with K-pop. But I think we have to credit anime and J-pop as really being the first to break that veil, probably a good 20 years ago. Because like the
Yeah.
anime fans started to bring over this weird Asian stuff,
Absolutely.
and they started to break it over here. Because I remember thinking, you know, my mom and my dad.
Your mom.
Yeah. Didn't. I mean, they were starting to kind of do the what are you listening to?
Right.
When I would start listening to J-pop up in my room when I was like your guys' age and younger, and then she'd be like, "Who is that stuff?" And I mean, you know, it's like really, you're not even listening to stuff in English
What was
anymore.
the J-pop band you listened to?
At the time?
Yeah.
Oh, way back then. Oh, Two Mix
Two Mix. So you.
Well, and you have to
was
remember
like a
that
group that I would listen to.
the Korean film industry now is very, very big on making spoofs of like American films. So like the Korean film industry made like The Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
That's
They've
awesome
made
film.
some, and it's amazing, right? They've made some twists on some classic tales and brought them over to American audiences, and so they're starting to break through over here as well. So it's kind of like it started with the anime and it just started to trickle in, and then now we have this huge like content.
5
You
years
can get
from
these
now,
things
we're
now.
gonna have like Thai and
Oh my god.
Vietnamese and Cambodian content that we never would have thought of having.
Right. And
It's
that'll be
just
so
really
much fun.
opening the doors.
We're, I mean, as a culture, we have been very all export, no import. I mean, just as a culture, America has always been that way. We've been pushing our culture to the world for years and years and years and years and years. And it's just been recently that we've started to take import in. I mean, when I was in my 20s, getting anything from the anime culture or world was impossible. It was very difficult. There was one store in California, and you had to write a letter to them and send a check, and you had to mail it to them. And then, you know, in like 3 weeks or something like that, they would send you a thing where they were importing stuff from Japan.
Oh my god.
And it was like, but that was the only place you could order stuff from, and that was it.
Yeah.
And and you had to know what you were looking for, and you had to know what it was spelled like and how it was written in Japanese. And of course, I didn't speak Japanese at the time, so I was hoping.
Just trying to figure it out.
I'm like hoping that I had the characters right and stuff. And sometimes I ended up with the wrong CDs. And, you know, it was really rough. And then of course, when you were watching anime, it was a dub of a dub of a dub of a dub of a dub on VHS.
Right.
And I mean, you know,
And
this
dubstep
is-
was invented.
and that's how dubstep was invented. That's nobody knew that. See, now we've told you.
History
Here,
lessons.
Done.
told here for the first time on Geek Tank.
The more you know.
Da, da,
So-
da, da, da.
But I mean, you know, and so I mean, what we've done in just 20 years, the fact that now we're actually listening to these other cultures and they're actually coming through, the fact that YouTube's having these massive turnouts on
We have fan goals, yo.
I mean, and it's not just coming in from Korea. I mean, BTS comes out and bam, I mean, we're watching. Blackpink comes out and we're watching. I just had this long discussion with one of my friends on Facebook about this because her daughter got her into Korean pop. You know, she got her daughter into heavy metal, and her daughter got her into Korean pop.
That's
Sounds like a
awesome.
good middle ground for mom and daughter would be baby metal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
baby metal's perfect.
And see, that's a different baby metal's
Different
a-
genre, but
Baby metal is a whole different thing.
Right.
But yeah, and actually that's not a bad idea. But she was talking to me about Amuro Namie, which is a J-pop artist who just recently retired. And I was like, yeah, I can't believe I've been following that particular artist her entire arc since she debuted 25 years ago. And I'm like, I can't believe she's retiring. She's in her 40s now, and it's time for her to retire. And she's the Madonna of Japanese pop. She's like, she broke all the genres, she broke all the cultures. You know, she did everything, and then and now she's retiring out. And I'm like, I'm having a hard time with this because
You get to go back and experience that entire journey again.
right, and it's like, and so now
Super fun.
she was talking to me about this. She's like, "Who is this person? How do you pronounce her name?" And I'm like, "Namie," and I'm like, "It's okay." And then she was like, "Okay, so tell me a little bit about, you know, do you know anything about K-pop?" And I'm like, "Well, I know a little about K-pop because I've gotten into that recently too." And you know, it's like, but this is all a different culture, and it's all here now, which
What
it
I-
wasn't before.
What I love about K-pop in particular is we're spoiled with content.
spoiled.
Like we live in the era of content. Like we're not ripping VHSs off each other anymore.
Right.
Like we're on YouTube. K-pop bands usually have their own V Live if they're big enough. V Live is like a streaming service like YouTube, and they'll do like their own little teasers. Some like BTS does their own show called Run, which is kind of like a game
It's a variety show.
It's super funny, so we get extra content and we get to see them more, and that is usually in a season. Some groups just do like they release dance practices and music videos and interviews, and they just go live whenever they want. So we get V Live. With this comeback in particular for like BTS, we got teasers on V Live, which was freaking torture. This is like 45-second clips, and people are trying to decode everything.
as you do.
We have a comic.
We do have a comic
is
on Webtoon,
separate.
which it has finished for now, but it chronicles the BTS universe from the Wings era and Most Beautiful Moment in Life. And that's another fun thing about K-pop is it's broken into eras based on album name, song title.
And with BTS in particular, they like to put a lot of thought and meaning behind things. So they have this story arc essentially, where the members are playing these characters and you get to follow them, and it does go through some of the music videos. There are big fan theories out there that can walk you through them, which is awesome because then you get all this extra content to decode.
Right.
So Big Hit really likes to put meaning behind things. I mean, even with TXT, like people are digging into TXT, their little debut group that just debuted this year, which is a completely separate group and concept, but they're doing a different story arc with them as well. So I love that in particular, as we get all these storylines and these underlying meanings. Like,
I love the conspiracy theorists who think that TXT, Tomorrow by Together, is actually a satanic cult. So that's my favorite thing right now.
that was
They're
so
not.
funny. They're not.
They're still in high school.
But
They make no decisions on their video and videography, but yeah, that's a fun one.
So we've gotten like teasers, we got interviews, we got one music video 2 weeks before. So we got Persona, which was the like teaser track, and then we got the official title track, which was Boy with Love. And so we got all of this, and we had Run, and we had a couple of V-Lives, and they've been on radio shows. Like, they go all out for
Do they
these
cross
things.
over into like the Korean drama soap operas? Make special appearances or like on game shows?
On game shows, sometimes BTS in particular doesn't really, because when they were still fairly new, they did try to go and do a couple of the idol room shows where there's the two interviewers and they talk to the K-pop group, and their producer is very protective of them, which I love.
I love that
and
too.
These people were talking down to him and like ignoring some of the members who were trying to talk. And they're like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna make our own variety show with BTS and more BTS. And that's like BTS Run was born, their channel was born, stuff like that. So they don't really participate a lot in the game show stuff. They're still gonna appear on like Music Bank and Mnet, because like the 2 weeks after a comeback, it's the music show circuit and more promotions, and we're probably gonna get another music video for another one of the songs on the track, most likely.
I hope it's
but-
Dionysus or Jameisville.
All right. Oh my god. But for BTS in particular, yeah, they don't do a lot of those. But there have one of them has a master's in theater.
Poor Jin.
He got his master's degree while on tour.
Right?
Stan you a man.
Yeah.
But they have been on a Korean drama. Well, not they. One of the younger members, V, was on a drama called Hwarang, which was a period drama set in when Korea was still Silla. And it's about pretty boys becoming the queen's elite guard, and they're beautiful fighting flowers.
Yeah.
And
I still need to watch that.
I could spoil it, but I won't. But it's just,
and
it's
Jin
cute.
was on the survival show.
Oh yeah, there's a survival show. It's not our version of Survivor. It's way more friendly and less competitive. They have a survival expert, and they get celebrities, comedians, actors, idols, and they dump them somewhere and say, okay, have fun. Survive for 24 hours, we'll be back.
Like somewhere with
Survive
technology?
No.
So it's
they-
still
Awful lot of
a little-
islands out there.
Indonesia was
Okay.
where Jin was. It's called Call of the Wild? No, not Call of the Wild.
Oh, I can't remember.
See, I thought the American Survivor
They
was
were
way too
dumped on,
tame.
like-
Anyway.
No, they were dumped on like a raft, and they had like fishing nets and stuff, but they had to survive overnight.
24 hours without land.
Yeah.
So they had
So
to
they had water, they got food, they were able to catch their own food, they did really well. And then like they went on land and they had to do a different challenge. So they're really nice, and it's more for fun with
Law of
a
the
tiny
jungle.
bit of terror. Like
Law
there's
of
a
the
little
jungle.
terror.
It was only terrifying when Jin overexerted himself and had to get a vitamin shot from the crew. So there's really no peril
Yeah. they're
unless you
protective.
get sunstroke and fall over and pass
And
out.
they're like the people that they find for these variety shows are so hysterical. Like they have some older idols who will come back and do stuff. They have comedians and stuff like that, and it's fun.
See, I always thought
Super
Survivor
fun.
should have been more like Battle Royale. the Japanese
You're
movie.
not wrong.
Or just like, here's your
Survival of
plane
the
ticket,
fittest.
and everybody gets a knife. Whoever's still alive and uses their plane ticket last wins. So,
A little brutal.
so when you
but I'm
said
still
it's
on board.
easier than Survivor, I thought maybe it was like, hey, here's your tea, but you don't get any sugar. Oh
No, there's definitely still a survival aspect to it. It's really fun to watch. You can watch it on like Viki or other streaming services right now with a subscription. It's a hoot, and then like other idols are on it. Like Jackson from Got7 is on a later season. Hana from Red Velvet
I love it.
is on there.
When are
She
they
comes
coming
back a couple times because she loves it so much. It's great.
There's a band called Blue Velvet.
Red Velvet.
Red
Oh, okay.
Velvet.
I was gonna say
So
Blue
they have
Velvet's.
Wendy
They're
from Red Velvet is
super cool.
hysterical.
Because they
hysterical to
have
watch on
red
any
albums, which are a little
video
more
ever.
hardcore, and then
Wendy
they
is
have
just a-
velvet
a
albums, which are a
riot.
little softer.
Wendy's a queen.
So is
It's
it
great.
red or
Yes.
is it
I love
velvet
her.
or is it red velvet?
Well, because she's Canadian, so she doesn't.
Yeah.
This poor babe on interviews, she's just so mad. Oh,
So
I have to show you that video he sent me because it's
That's
hysterical.
Wendy from Red Velvet.
Because like she speaks English and they're like, speak this or spell this in Korean. She's like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, well, it's
gonna kill you.
so okay. So the second album of Red Velvet was Russian Roulette,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're asking Wendy to spell roulette or pronounce roulette. It was pronounced roulette. So she says roulette, and they're like, no, you pronounced it wrong.
Oh,
And she's like,
She is so
roulette,
done.
My girl.
rouletto.
It's just like
Rouletto.
it's just like Namjoon when anybody in BTS tries to speak English.
He passive aggressively gives up translating. Strong power, thank you.
It was like Taehyung. It was like, hello, I am God. You are God. I'm good.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
so
but
many
Wendy
funny-
is hysterical. She's like, but she also obviously was like raised in Canada, and so she doesn't have like the Eastern sensibilities, and so she keeps doing westerns.
Who was it?
She's like, no, I'm not doing this or whatever, and then, like everybody's like, whoa, they don't know what to deal with her.
In Korea, they're very big about like modesty, especially with men. They don't usually show their chests because they try to be very.
Well, in general,
Their bodies are
I-
very much their own. They're very precious to them, so they're very big about like if they're in a swimsuit, if they're in swim trunks, they'll wear a shirt over. And there's which one is it? The kid from LA who's like always taking his shirt off, and so I was like, oh
BM?
my god, hi.
BM means a different thing in my world.
yes,
Yeah.
and it means a different thing in my world too. But BM in this case is Big Matthew from Card, which is a co-ed group. So
One
they've
of the
got two
few.
girls and two boys, and Big Matthew is 6'4" from LA and built like he's gonna kick your ass.
So it's co-ed. Co-ed's a not normal for.
Not
definitely not.
typically.
No,
Not
usually they're
typically.
either all boys or all girls.
Because they live together and they'll room together. Like BTS they're finally starting to get like their own apartments, but they all still live together.
They all still live together. They just have apartments in the same building in case they want some alone time.
just in case.
Just
That's
in case.
So cute. Oh my god, multi-million-dollar apartments.
So have they done a
you imagine that?
documentary style movie yet that's out for any of these groups? Because I would think that would be the next step to get more popular in America.
Kind of.
For the concerts, because they
For
did.
the concerts, there was Burn the Stage. It was on YouTube Red for BTS. And then there was Burn the Stage the movie, which was different from the YouTube Red series. Figure that one out.
Raisins.
Because raisins, money. Yeah, basically, money. There have also been a few other things. I know that some of the smaller groups, Monsta X, has a Netflix series. You just have to find it. And it comes up on mine because I watch all of the K-dramas all of the time.
Right?
So it
So
comes
it is
up as like, oh, you
available-
might be interested in this since
It
you
is
watch all
available
of
Yes,
to
it.
the
I
American
am.
region Netflix.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Monster X. He's
Mom
so cute.
BBs. So cute.
Just in case you're listening and you wanted to check some of this out.
Right. It's really easy once you start watching like the concerts to find other groups and get attached very quickly. And then it becomes this huge problem because here's a group of 18 people and here's a group of 4 and this one's got 7 and that one has 12. You're just like, I can't learn all these names.
Here's a brand new solo
and
artist.
then you do, and you're like, ah!
You just need to start making Pokemon cards of them.
Right,
And
just
that
to
way-
learn them.
I almost
Yeah.
brought my cards with me today.
Did
I
you
was
really?
gonna say,
I put mine
Emily
in
just
my
had this
purse.
look on her face.
My biggest problem was like there were 3 J names in BTS, and it took me a really long time.
Okay, so
We worked it out. It's fine.
Chelsea's broken again.
Oh God,
It happens once a show.
I'm here. You know.
Only once a show. That's pretty impressive, actually.
Well, it's one long stretch the whole
the
show.
adult.
I am
She's
the
the
adult.
adult in this show, so I mean, she can't stay broken for long because she's got to keep us
gotta-
in line.
Keep the
Otherwise,
momentum going.
It becomes monkeys.
I should also talk about albums really quickly before we wrap up.
was gonna
The
say, is there
difference
anything-
between U.S. albums and K-pop albums.
Yes.
So I did an unboxing on my channel with Emily as well, just to show you guys what comes in a K-pop album. So essentially, when you get an album, you get a photo book. You usually get photo cards of whatever random member they give you. I got a poster. I got a couple cool, nifty little side pieces, like a bunch of negative film with some
Like a
of the
little film
photo
strip.
strips. I got exclusive content, I think, that I could go online and download all the songs.
It
'cause
gives
I
you
have,
points, actually. What it is it's points for the iBig Hit store. So you scan it with your phone, log in, and you get the points. So you can use those points to buy more albums or more BTS
They have
merch.
got the marketing game down.
They do.
Big
that's pretty
Hits
hard.
somehow managed to make BTS the GDP of South Korea,
Yeah.
and it's really impressive. And I think like I would get into economics just to go for the economics of K-pop,
Yeah.
because I could probably go on about it for hours.
And like, I got a photo book with all the photo concepts from one. There are 4 versions of this album, so you could buy all 4 and get different things in every single one because it's going to be different photo cards and different photo concepts. And I got a poster, and then the CD itself, and then as well with BTS and with other groups, they have their own little basically fan chant item, and for BTS, it's called the Army Bomb because their fans are called Army or Armies usually.
Army.
Typically, it's plural. But the Army Bombs, they're on version 3.
Version 3, they are Bluetooth connected to the stadium so that they change colors in time with the song, and it's amazing.
Yeah. So they've made 3 versions, and these are
Should've
what, like
brought one.
$50 a pop?
Actually,
Or
if you
45.
buy it from the Big Hit website, it's 55,000 won, which translates to about $38.
And then you gotta pay shipping.
And then you gotta pay
international.
shipping. But
So
and
they
it wasn't
came with
that
the
bad.
album?
It did
No,
not.
Oh.
the light stick you do buy separately.
Okay.
And you can buy them at concerts, but they're definitely fun to have. The light sticks are a way to show your support, and again, the newest version changes colors in time with the song.
They'll make it like a rainbow.
I
around
bet
the
there's a
stadium.
way, because I've seen clothing that has built-in lights that can light up and change
Mm-hmm.
colors. I bet there's going to be a way that you could plug it in and make your clothing light up with it.
That
too.
would be
I'd buy
sweet.
that. I'd play
Big
that
Hit,
game.
get on it. Also,
see
make
this
more
Bung Chi-
t-shirts, please. Jesus, trying to get merch is a nightmare at concerts. You have to line up way early, and oh my god.
And miss half the concert.
No, it's well before the concert. It's like hours before. Like they open merch at like 10 a.m. and the concert's at 6 p.m. So you can run through the lines. And most armies tend to be pretty nice.
We got to the merch line at like 2 p.m. when we went to LA, and the concert was at like 7 or 8. And we got through pretty fast, but
no
we
more
got through pretty fast
t-shirts,
because
no
most
more
everything was sold out.
stickers. I mean, I just got a placard, so I was happy with that.
Well, we want to thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having
And I,
me.
I just died. So,
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what that was all about.
I'm dead.
I
You're
guess.
dead.
I'm
I will warn
K-popped
you.
out.
You're K-popped out.
That's that. Not in public. That'd be bad.
Yeah, yeah. You can get arrested for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's all the time that we have for today. Join us next week at the same time and the same location. And anything you want to say in closing?
We need to get the advertising.
You can-
We need to
you
get
can
the
thank
agent
her.
for them to work for us,
Yeah.
so we can have albums come out with little
All this
chibis of
merch.
us and stuff.
Speaking of agents, our show is sponsored by Geekway Homes. If you're a geek and you need a home, call Geekway Homes at 1-800-www.geekwayhomes.com. That's all the time we have for today. I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
And I've been Chelsea.
And this is Geek Tank.
As always, you can email us at questions@RockyMountainGeekTank.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We're Rocky Mountain Geek Tank. Feel free to join the conversation. We look forward to hearing from you.
Geek Tank is a production of Foxblade Media and is protected under the Creative Commons 3.0 license. Your hosts today were Guy S. Davis, C. Troy Ford, and Chelsea Kramer. Kevin Weibler is our engineer, and our music was composed by David Coyle. Geek Tank is funded by listeners like you. Please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Foxblade.